My name is Brady Maher, and I am a lead investigator here at the Lieber Institute. So my lab's interested in trying to understand pathophysiology related to autism spectrum disorder and schizophrenia in hopes that we can develop therapies for those disorders. My lab is trying to understand pathophysiology associated with psychiatric disorders like autism spectrum disorder and schizophrenia. And so we model those disorders in the lab with either animals or stem cells. And we really just try to see how the cells are different between cells that have a mutation for a specific gene that causes disease versus cells that don't. And if we can find the differences, then we can maybe understand what's going wrong in those disorders. And then we can try to rescue those differences or return them back to normal so that would, potentially become a therapy for those disorders. When I was in high school, my mother was a social worker, and she would help individuals that were just getting out of the hospital for mental illness to sort of get reintegrated into society. And so she would help them find housing and a job, and then she would visit with them and sort of help them become more independent again. And so I would shadow her during high school, and I just became really sort of interested and fascinated with how the brain can function and how it can dysfunction and how these individuals have these such severe symptoms. And so then in college, I then worked at a group home that was associated with my mom's job. And they had 20 people there living there that had pretty severe mental illness. And I would cook them meals and give them, distribute their medication to them and just sort of take care of them. And so I had a really good opportunity to sort of interact with patients and really try to see how they live their lives and all the things that they're struggling with. So that then led me to my first physiology course in undergrad, where I learned about how neurons are electrically active and that you can use electrophysiology to sort of measure the electrical activity of cells. And so I kind of had a light bulb moment. It was like, this might be how I can figure out what's going on wrong in the brain or how the brain is working. And so that, so I started to do research and I became a PhD. And it was actually a winding road because when I first started graduate school, there's not a lot of good model systems for schizophrenia. It's a very complex, genetically complex disorder. It's very human specific, so there's no mouse models really that can represent this disorder. And so I studied a lot about just basic brain circuits and development. But then eventually I learned some molecular biology and I started thinking about how I can make my own models of these disorders. And that's what led me to become here at the Lieber Institute, where now we're using induced pluripotent stem cells from patients. And those are have a really tremendous opportunity, I think. And so it looks like now we might be able to really model the schizophrenia in the lab and sort of learn what may be going wrong and help to develop therapies.